Hi everyone, and I'm back with the first part in a two-part video which I'm calling Tarot Back to Basics, and I'm actually choosing that title because I'm going to share with you in these videos a couple of decks which take tarot back to some fairly basic fundamental principles. One of the things, of course, that many of us who are into tarot are interested in doing is exploring all the deep, rich metaphysical, spiritual, cosmological meaning that comes with many different tarot decks and all the wonderful symbolism that's encoded into them. But it can be quite refreshing sometimes to just go back to basics and look at what are the principles of the energy behind particular tarot cards, and these two decks really do that, I think, in quite an interesting way. They're not going to be for everyone, but I think they are quite fascinating in their own right. And the first one that I'm going to share with you is a deck called the Tarot Therapy deck by a gentleman called Steve Hounsome. He's written a series of books to accompany this deck and his own approach to tarot, which is a very therapeutic approach to tarot. And there is actually a particular book called the Tarot Therapy deck. Important not to assume when you're buying that on Amazon that you're buying the deck, because you're not. So be very careful if you do decide to go ahead. I'll leave the link below for where to purchase these. And there are other books that go with this deck as well and help expound his philosophy. But basically what he's done is he's taken the tarot deck and he's taken it down to very basic principles of energetic meaning, and he does that with all of the cards, and I'm going to show you what I mean, or what he means by that, by walking you through the cards. And I'm going to finish with the major arcana rather than begin with them, because I think actually in some ways the major arcana is the least effective part of the deck. Not that it's ineffective, but I think it's because the major arcana is such a inherently complex set of cards, and deep set of cards. It's quite hard to just reduce that to elements in the way that it's perhaps easier to do with the number cards and the court cards. So I'll just walk you through them so you get an idea. So the first set of cards is the suit of air, which obviously in the normal tarot deck would be, in most cases, would be swords and sometimes rods or wands. But from the way that I learned, it's swords. And you'll see that what he's doing is he's taking the concept of the element and then taking it through a journey from one initiation all the way through to completion with the king. So with air, we have number one, atmosphere. Number two is convergence. 3 is pressure. So you can see that this is developing into a kind of weather front, clouds. 4 of air is doldrums. 5 of air, gust. So it's wind building up. 6 of air, front. 7 of air, trade wind. Very simple, straightforward images, obviously. 8 of air, gale. 9 of air, jet stream. 10 of air is zephyr. And then we get into the first set of court cards, and he what he does is he relates what would be the traditional court cards of page, knight, queen, king, of course, to the elements, and he does that pretty much in the way that I learned. So pages are earth, knights are fire, queens are water, and kings are air. And that's not obviously the system that everyone follows, but it's a system that's fairly common. Where he diverts a little bit is, in my conceptualization, the equivalent of, let's say, the page of swords, which would be the page of air. To my mind, that would be earth of air, because it's earth the page and air is the suit. But he does it slightly differently. So so his page of air is actually, I'm trying to find it here, page of swords. So he does it, instead of earth of air, he calls it air of earth. And you'll see the knight of swords is air of fire. The queen of swords is air of water, and then air of air. So air of air, as he has here, is actually, in fact I'll do it in the other order because Yeah, so Heir of Earth is Page of Swords, and that's Dust Devil. And then we have Heir of Water, which is the Queen. In fact, hang on, is that right? No, hang on. Heir of Earth is the Page, yes, that's right. And then Knight, this is what's confusing me. So Knight of Swords is Heir of Fire. So this is the Knight, Heir of Fire. So I would call this Fire of Air. This is what's confusing me. And then Heir of Water, which is the Queen. And then Heir of Air, the airiest form of air, gas, and that's the King. Okay, so that gives you the idea. So going on to water now. One of water is drop. Two of water is rain. Three of water, spring. I mean, I think they are charming cards, and I think if you are trying to learn the elemental associations, then these would be a lovely way of doing it. And I love the simplicity of them, and I love the idea that they really do encourage you to focus just on the elemental association. So you're not looking at particular symbolism, although you can, of course, if you understand tarot and other systems, you can bring that to the table. But here you are actually looking directly at the elemental associations, and you're getting some intuitive prompts with the photos. So again, this is where it's going to get a bit confusing. So we're on to cups now. So I want to go to Water of Earth, Marsh. That is the Page of Cups. And then Water of Fire, that's the Knight of Cups. Geezer. He's a geezer. Water of Water is the Queen of Cups. And that of course makes sense because it would be that either way round. And then Water of Air, which in this conceptualization is the King of Cups. And again, I would call that Air of Water. But it is what it is. So that's the King of, the equivalent of the King of Swords. Okay, so you get the idea, and I'll just quickly go through the others. So for the suit of fire, or rods, obviously very much to do with flames and fire. 4 of fire, fire whirl. 5 of fire, lightning. So I think it would be quite interesting if you took these cards and you laid them out with some of your favourite tarot cards in equivalent suits to give you a sense of what is being hinted at here in terms of the elemental energy. By the way, it's very nice cardstock, very it's laminated, as you can see, quite shiny, but very nice solid cardstock. 10 of fire. Okay, and now of course we're into fire, so let's have a look at Fire of Earth, which is, that's the page, Fire of Earth, cinders. Fire of Fire is, that's interesting. So I think, so well, we've got Fire of Water, which will be the Queen, that's there. But we seem to have a misprint because we've got Fire of Air and Fire of Air, plasma and smoke. So one of those obviously is meant to be Fire of Fire. So I'll have to look in the book to see, which one relates to which. But there's a misprint there, which is a bit unfortunate. Anyway, that can be easily rectified. And then finally onto Pentacles, Earth. The Ace is Seed. 2 is Root. 3 is Shoot. 4 is Leaf. 5 is Bud. 6 is Flower. 7 Pollen. 8 Fruit. 9 Harvest. And then 10 going back to the earth, compost. Rather nice. And then in terms of where we are, so this is Pentacles. Earth of Earth is Bedrock. That's the page. Earth of Fire, we're meant to be the Knight, charcoal. Earth, water is the Queen, quicksand. So that's kind of the Queen of Pentacles. I wouldn't really associate the Queen of Pentacles with quicksand. I think of her as being more nicer than quicksand. And then Earth of Air, dust storm. And that is the King of Pentacles. So this works to a degree in terms of the suits. I think there are limitations to it, but there's also a nice simplicity to it that I think would be a good way of getting in touch with the elements. Now, the major arcana, this is where I think it gets slightly trickier for me. So I'll see what you think about these associations. I'm just going to run through them with little comment and see what you think. So, the Fool, or Zero, is Canyon. And he does say that he's not calling these the Fool and the High Priestess and the Magician and all that. They are what they are, so they are their own system. So you don't necessarily have to compare them, but if you're into tarot, of course you're going to. So 0 is Canyon, 1 Tornado. The High Priestess equivalent would be Waterfall. Rainforest for the Empress, I can see that. Desert for the Emperor. Eclipse for the Hierophant, possibly. Tsunami for Lovers. Avalanche for the Chariot, maybe, but that seemed a bit more out of control than I would expect the Chariot to be. Earthquake, now of course, is that Justice or Strength? Who knows? 9, the Hermit. Aurora. That's rather nice. Wheel of Fortune, Hurricane. Mountain, again, there's probably more strength than justice. Mountain. Glacier, 12. Death. Drought. Temperance, Rainbow. You can see some of the associations making sense. Devil, Inferno. Then we have Volcano. Firmament. Star. The Moon is the Moon, that's nice and simple. The Sun is the Sun, nice and simple. Meteor. Judgment. That's a bit scary. And then Earth, or the world, universe, is Earth. So, interesting. I think it is interesting actually, looking at these. So, that is the Tarot Therapy deck by Steve Hounsome, and it's the first of my tarot back to basics decks. So I'd love to hear what you think about this. Have you got it? Have you used it? Have you got other decks that do similar things in terms of their elemental associations? If so, let me know in the comment below. And I'm going to start filming part 2 now. And that's going to be the Bright Idea deck. So I'll see you over there. Take care. Bye.